It's a really unique mission. Um, so it's bilingual, which means you'll be teaching in both English and Spanish, um, which is different because in a lot of missions they have like Spanish-speaking missionaries and English-speaking ones, but there it's just not practical because there's so many Spanish speakers that it'd just be almost it'd just be crazy to have to switch people off all the time because even in the same lesson you're switching languages several times to talk to the kids in English and the parents in Spanish. And it's so that's one of those things that's really unique is like you'll just be switching a lot between them both, and all the missionaries are required to speak Spanish. Even the mission president, his first language is Spanish, and so you'll be able to like practice that a lot in different meetings that you have. The boundaries, so the northmost part of the mission is Beeville. The easiest way to find on the map is Corpus Christi. That's kind of like the top right corner of the mission. And then Laredo, like directly across, is on the top left corner of the mission. And then McAllen and Brownsville are the very southern points. And so what happens is there's a lot more Spanish speakers in the south in McAllen and Brownsville, and in Laredo too. Because it's along the border, you speak a lot more Spanish there. But when you go up north to kind of Corpus Christi and Beeville, Sinton, cities like that, you end up speaking probably 90% English. And so it's kind of like two different missions within itself, really. When you get transferred and you go up north, it's kind of, you get joked that you're like transferring out of the mission, but it's like pretty much everything, south of San Antonio. As far as like a temple, that's like one of the main goals of the mission, and it kind of brings up another point of, it's kind of like a sensitive topic for a lot of people, but illegal immigration. Like there's a lot of illegal immigrants that, they get baptized over there, here, and they really want to go to the temple, but there's certain checkpoints on the way up. Like before you get to Corpus and everything, that kind of keep them from going to San Antonio Temple, which is the closest temple to us. And so that's a big trial for a lot of really good members that want to go to this temple, but they can't. So a big goal of the mission is to put a temple in McAllen, pretty close to the border, so that everyone can have the chance to go. I guess, and then like kind of staying on the top of like immigration, it's kind of just like funny like how it kind of works there. And I guess like the best way to put it in perspective is like in one area I was in, so normally at church we'd have like 200, 250 people, and that weekend the state sent down like 50 or 100 or so like state troopers to kind of just like catch some people and and catch up on like tickets and everything. And so like they're all over the highways, and everyone was like really scared to leave their home. And so normally we have 200, 250, and that weekend we had 17 members at church, and 6 of them were missionaries. One of them was the bishop. And so yeah, it's very different there. Like that just kind of puts in perspective in some areas just how many people are Hispanic and immigrants. And so that's a huge part of the mission, and you get used to it pretty quick, and the people are really nice, and you get a lot of definitely crazy stories. Like I've had a lot of lessons with definitely drug dealers and things like that, but it's very safe. Like you shouldn't worry about it. I guess with safety, like the biggest thing with the mission is to make sure like on your bike that you have like a lot of reflective tape on your backpack and everything, because I guess 3 years ago now, 2 missionaries were killed. You can kind of look it up, but they were I don't know, they were biking on the street, and just a car, there's 3 of them, and a car didn't like see them, and so he hit them, and 2 of them passed away. And so that's kind of like a big focus. They'll give you some reflective tape when you get there for your bike and everything, but that's something that I made sure to do really well, is to put a lot of reflective tape on my backpack and bike, just to make sure you're seen, because that is like probably the biggest danger there is just the really dark kind of dirt roads and like drivers that aren't very smart. So yeah. I guess like with culture, as far as that goes, everyone's really nice there. To be honest, like I only had maybe like one or two doors slammed in my face like my whole mission, and that's pretty impressive because on my main mission it happened like 6 or 7 times in a week, and so it's a lot different. And those 2 times, like both of them, I remember they're like up in the north, kind of like stateside part of the mission. But when you're down south, like definitely everyone's really respectful, really nice. Like they always definitely recognize you as servants of God. It's just the hardest part is always like getting them to church and getting them to act. And it's not like to discourage anyone or anything, but there's definitely people I've talked to every single day of the week about coming to church, and then Saturday night we stop by and have a lesson about coming to church. They meet members, they meet the bishop. Sunday morning, and the whole time they're saying yes, we'll go. And then Sunday morning you stop by their place before church and say like, hey, are you getting ready to go? And they're like, yeah, like we're getting ready, and you can see they're getting dressed, and somehow they still don't make it to church. And it's kind of like discouraging sometimes, but it's just, I don't know, it's just part of it, and it always works out. It's just kind of one of those funny things, like it'll happen to you at least once, that you just have those families that are really awesome, really great. They just have some trouble doing that one thing. But there is definitely a lot of people that come to church and get baptized. Last I checked, I believe which was a few months ago, like we're the highest baptizing mission in the southern United States. So kind of like outside of Utah. There's just a lot of really good stuff there, like a lot of people getting baptized. And I guess like the main problem that a lot of people have is like with activity. That's one of the things they're trying to change for sure, is to have a lot of focus on reactivation and keeping people active. But as far as baptisms goes, it's a really good place to go. It's definitely like not to say if you don't get a million baptisms you're not a good missionary, but like you'll have a lot of really great opportunities that sometimes people in other missions don't have. So yeah, it's a great place. This is a little different. Like normally, if you're from Utah, you have like 2 missionaries per stake, but in other places, it's normally like two missionaries a ward. Down there, just because the wards are very big, I served in one area with 7 companionships in one ward. And I guess it's not just one ward, because every Sunday you go to both English church and Spanish church, if you have investigators in both, and also to meet with the members. So I guess it's like 7 companionships per the English and Spanish ward. But it's a lot of missionaries that you see at church. Members are really used to just seeing them like all over the place. So it's good to just like have those good relationships with members, so they kind of recognize you and they're willing to help you out. And it's kind of hard. You have to like figure out the members in your tiny part of the ward. That was just one of those things I really wasn't expecting, is just how many missionaries there are, like how many missionaries you see pretty regularly. Most of the time you live with 2 other missionaries for the most part. And so you have like a lot of interaction with other missionaries. It's not like you're just in some like mountain, set apart from everyone else and just kind of working on your own. You're constantly in contact with other missionaries and doing meetings, and on P-Day you all get together. So I really like that part. It was a really great environment. Like if you ever got kind of like sick of your companion, or I don't know, because it does happen. But you could, like, there's always other missionaries to talk to, and always other people. So you never feel too lonely. And with the wards, like I said, you cover both an English and Spanish ward, so you have coordination with the ward leaders. Like you have 2 ward mission leaders. You have 2 of everything, and it kind of makes things. It can make things difficult and easier. Like there's a few families that we taught like where they just weren't able to go to the Spanish building because of police and immigration stuff, but they go to the English building, and like most of them were pretty good at English, like at least enough to go to the English ward, and so they're able to go there and get baptized and everything. And so there's like a lot of switching between English and Spanish wards, and just like even language, like all the time. It's one of those things that you can work it pretty well, if you just kind of accept that things are pretty fluid. If you think like, no, this is Spanish ward, this is English, like they're separated, it's not going to be that easy for you. It's going to be a little bit harder. But like both bishops like know each other always really well, and it works out pretty well. It's a different experience that's really hard to explain, especially if you haven't been on a mission yet. But just to look forward to it, it's really cool. It's not something you get everywhere you go. To be part of 2 wards and have 2 bishops you help out, and 2 ward mission leaders, and like all the members that are there. As far as members go, there's definitely like a lot of less actives you get to work with, which is actually really rewarding. I like doing that. I can say like there's like an average of how many members that you have in an area, because that varies a lot. That's one of those things that can kind of make it a little bit harder, is when you have less members. But yeah, just there's 4 stakes. There's a McAllen stake and a McAllen East stake, or a McAllen West stake. Yeah. And so those are like the 2 main ones in the south. And there's a Harlingen stake, which kind of covers Brownsville and like more to the east, the bottom east. And then there's a Corpus Christi stake, which is where, it's really English speaking a lot. And then there's a Laredo district. And Laredo, it's not a stake yet, so it's a district run by the mission president. But so within the mission, there's essentially 4 or 5 stakes, and like a lot of wards. Normally like 200 people a ward. There's a lot of branches too. Normally like 100 people or so in a branch. There's some areas that you learn to some wards and areas you learn to like more than others. What happens a lot is, especially down south, there's a lot of bishops and ward mission leaders that are a little bit more hesitant to make baptisms happen, just because they want to focus a lot on less actives. And just sometimes that can be like kind of a controversy, because you're trying to help people get baptized also, and they kind of want to slow that down at times. But if you have like a really good relationship with the bishop and the ward mission leader, it helps a lot, because they can kind of trust you when you say like, this person's ready to be baptized. That's definitely something that you'll see a lot of when you get there. That's I guess one of the other main goals right now is just to, of course, like better the relationship between the ward leadership, the members, and the missionaries, because there's just so many missionaries, and it's such like a good system that the wards, a few years ago, like they might have, maybe like 10 years ago, they might have like been a lot more reliant on the missionaries. Now that they're kind of like becoming more independent, like it's kind of hard to explain. I guess just before, like this, there's some wards that rely a lot on the missionaries to go out and take the sacrament to people, to like kind of do pretty much home teaching and to help people a lot. But as the wards grow, there's like less of a need for missionaries to play a huge role in everything the members are doing, because they're doing it now. And so that's one of the kind of like the changing atmospheres and everything. But just the most important thing is to go in with it, like, with a mindset that you want to be friends with the bishop and with the ward mission leader and all the members. Like that's something really important and key that in this mission in particular.